Good morning, internets, and welcome back to the reading of the Master List of Logical Fallacies with Alan Muliger and Bryce Barnett. Today we are covering number 65, Infotainment. So that's going to be fun. And Alan, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Just had a really beautiful kind of ceremonious experience out in the wilderness yesterday. So I'm coming back and returning from all that, and it was just wonderful.
That is awesome. What made it so magical? The short version.
Uh, got to spend time with a mentor teacher who taught me a lot about the universe, a lot of things that I did not know that I'm now happy that I know.
Sweet. I'd love to hear about that. All right. So yeah, we are on Infotainment, and let's dive in.
Let's do it. Okay. Infotainment. Also, Infortainment, fake news, InfoWars. Here we go. A very corrupt and dangerous modern media-driven fallacy that deliberately and knowingly stirs in facts, news, falsities, and outright lies with entertainment, a mixture usually concocted for specific base ideological and profit-making motives. Origins of this fallacy predate the current era in the form of yellow or tabloid journalism. This deadly fallacy has caused endless social unrest, discontent, and even shooting wars, the Spanish-American War, over the course of modern history. Practitioners of this fallacy sometimes hypocritically justify its use on the basis that their readers, listeners, viewers know beforehand, quote unquote, or should know that the content offered is not intended as real news and is offered for entertainment purposes only. But in fact, this caveat is rarely observed by uncritical audiences who eagerly swallow what the purveyors put forth. See also dog whistle politics. I'm actually kind of confused what this is. I didn't quite understand it based off of this description.
Yeah, so there is I guess you would call it a program, uh, called InfoWars that is hosted by Alex Jones, and
Oh.
he deliberately spews extreme. I'm going to say, I wouldn't even say this is a stretch to call it literally insane nonsense. That is just like catered to a cartoonish extreme white, excuse me, extreme right view of the world. Um, and uh, he gets away with deliberately lying in court by stating that this is meant for just entertainment, rather than actually being a real source of news.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and but the viewers who are in this deep rabbit hole of fake news think it's all real. Uh,
hmm.
and
Like the
and
like
they
the National Enquirer. It's
I
the
don't know what
National Enquirer is a magazine that like it always posts all this or on the magazine. It's always at grocery stores, weirdly enough.
that.
Um, but it's like all these like very shocking and intense headlines and whatever, and none of them are accurate. It's like example like there there was this one. It's very normal as an example for the for the newspaper to get a picture of some celebrity like when they were in the hospital, and it could have been for whatever. It could have been for a drug overdose. It could have been for, it doesn't matter. Where the celebrity doesn't look so hot. So like if you can imagine, on a on a day-to-day basis, depending on what you eat, how you treat your body, you're going to look different. And so, it's almost like what they do is they get a photo, they somehow find a photo of one of these celebrities on their absolute worst day ever, and then they'll put up on that magazine, they'll go Alec Baldwin's big struggle with cancer. Meanwhile, they don't know if he has cancer or not. There's nothing that can be proven that. They just took a picture of him that looks destitute and they go, okay, let's throw a cancer thing out there. Or they'll find a picture of a celebrity who's looking angrily, and then they'll be like, this so and so celebrity, what they said about their ex-wife who was fucking this person. And it's like, they have none of that info. And it's not even true, but it's there because people want to, they want to get, there's a word in Spanish that's, we say gossip, but the word in Spanish is chisme. Chisme meaning like the gossip, the give me the ooey gooey, give me that thing, give me that energy. I want the chisme, give me the chisme. And so to me that's now as you're saying, I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like that's really similar. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, pretty much where essentially uh because of the First Amendment, uh that we all have the right to freedom of speech, and that also means the freedom to lie, and that also means to have the freedom to profit off of lies. And so that's what this is. And so
Um,
um yeah, it just sucks. It's one of those things like we need the right to free speech, but this is a sucky consequence that that comes out of that. I wonder if there's a fine line that maybe we can distinguish between the two one day. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm having
I
a
feel
hard
like
time.
it's really hard to because like example, there's a in psychology, there's this concept of encoding failure and decoding failure. So anytime we take information that our brain is tracking and we put it into our long-term memory, it experiences encoding failure, meaning that we take the physical events around us, and when we input them into our long-term memory, it's colored and distorted by our interpretation emotionally of those moments. So it goes in there with that distortion. Then, when we later on want to access that memory, let's say I'm in conversation with someone, and as I'm in conversation, I see an opportunity to share that story, but in order to make that story more accurately match the conversation I'm in, I experience decoding failure. So I pull the memory out of long-term memory, but I color it now with the desire, the bias of wanting to make that story match exactly the situation I'm in now. And then when it goes back after you told the story, it goes back into long-term memory and you get another encoding failure because you're now coloring that story not only with the desire to match this situation, you also put it back into long-term memory with the information of how it impacted the room, reinforcing or discouraging you from sharing it a certain way again in the future. So, what this study, or not study, but what this phenomenon does is it is why two people who attended the same event 10 years ago will remember it completely differently. And it's actually been proven by science that people's memories of what happened is they're almost, especially when it's long periods of time, are almost never accurate to what actually happened. Um, and so it's like, I think what's hard, because like when I read this, I'm like, man, yeah, fake. Like, if I'm being honest, I think in my personal opinion, I think it should be illegal to spread fake news. It should be illegal to mess with information, um, and treat it like a commodity that we can then use to get money for ourselves. I think that's actually really horrible, and I think it needs to be eliminated. However, I think what's a really difficult problem to solve is how do you determine what is fake and what is not when most of what is being extracted from events to report on is immediately colored by that person's interpretation of the information anyway. I feel like it's a
Right.
really difficult problem to solve.
Yeah, because we know that because of what you just explained, anecdotal evidence is the weakest form of evidence
Yeah.
in science, which in the United States court system is regarded as one of the highest forms of evidence, which again concerns me greatly. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there is a point to say, well, fraud is that's illegal. So if you are portraying yourself as being an accurate news source, um, which this would probably like have Fox News and like other like very big news outlets. This would probably get them all canceled, which uh, might be good. But if you're saying that you are factually reporting and then it is discovered that you knew for sure that what you were saying was incorrect or you did not have sufficient evidence to say the thing, um, then you could say that is fraud. When you say you know a thing but you don't actually, and you're so um, I think that there could be a fine line there. The thing with InfoWars, the program InfoWars specifically, is that they legally label themselves as entertainment. And I've heard I've not been able to back this up, but I've heard that Fox News has also done this as well, and that's how they got out of legal trouble. Is that they labeled themselves as entertainment
Yeah.
fiction that tiptoes on the line of news, um, and because of that, it was just considered fiction, and no re- repercussions come from it. Even though the people that are watching think it is all real. So yeah, that really sucks. It is deception for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yep.
No, that's a tough one. That's a super. I think honestly, out of all the ones we've read, that's the one for me that I feel uh the most like called to want to change. Like out of all these, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. That one, I'm like, oh man, that one is really something we ought to do something about as a society because it's just so, especially with AI today, how you can literally create almost anything visually and auditorily. It's like, man, it's like I feel like it's gonna be so important to be able to. Oh yeah. I don't know. I think we're gonna figure that one out soon. And when I say soon, I don't mean like next 5 years, but like I don't know. I have a feeling that fake information is gonna become so dangerous that we're gonna have to do something about it at some point soon. Like the idea that is this little cool thing that I thought was so awesome. A friend of mine um, created this AI that captures your voice and captures all of your personality traits, goals, dreams, etc. that you have. It then creates, with all that information, a version of you 5 to 10 years down the road, and it talks to you in your own voice from the perspective of you already having accomplished all of your goals, and it talks to you in encouragement. It's like, hey, you can get through this. It's this amazing thing. And so I'm listening to myself talk to me in my voice, encouraging me, and it was super emotional because my whole life I've been building my vessel to help others believe in themselves. And that comes all the way down to the tone of my voice, what inflections I use, what words I choose, what words I don't choose. And so all of that information that I have been putting into myself, information that no one else could copy, but this AI who's paying attention to what words I'm using, what it sounds like, what's the quality of my voice, then does that all back to me. And not only am I now hearing the verbal information of Alan, you can do this, I'm also hearing all of the nonverbal cues that I've built over the last 10 years to help me help others believe in others, then come back to believe in myself. It was absolutely staggering to experience that. And someone, and how he got all that information was he just went to a bunch of podcasts that I was on, captured voice, and created it. So here's the part that scares me about that. There is nothing that could stop someone from doing the exact same thing, capturing my voice, putting it into an AI, having that AI contact my parents and say, hey, it's really me. I need help. Can you please come and wire me this much money? I need it right now. Like, there is nothing that would protect someone from that in today's world. And so it's like, the, and just, oh my God, like my body, like really, like I feel so, it's so intense. And so it's like, yeah, it's just scary. And so that kind of stuff, because it's so readily available now, um, I think we're gonna have to, as a humanity, somehow like take a stand on this. Because if we don't, I think it could be some really big problems. Like we could be exposed to an evil that we've never been exposed to before as a society.
For sure, for sure. Um, I think it's still important for this program to stay out of one side of politics or another. But at the time that Alan and I are recording, there's massive protests and the National Guard in Los Angeles right now, and that's where I'm at. And yeah, scary stuff is happening. And when I hear stuff like, um, you know, the president saying, oh, the National Guard is there because Los Angeles, which was once great, is now being invaded by a bunch of illegal aliens and we need to take care of it right now. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's not true. It's just like, and I don't know. It's like, did because we if Fox News is labeling themselves as infotainment, uh, and we know that the president is getting a lot of his info from them. Um, it's like this fallacy right here is on the brink of causing a civil war um, in real life. So like, yeah, this is we might see what happens because of this very soon.
Yeah. It's scary. It's a scary one. I'm really happy we're talking about this one today.
For sure.